Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to .NET.Gurukul.com. Today is the first session of SQL Server. Here are the agenda items. For the first session, we will know what is data and information, and we'll go through some of the lab exercises on data analysis. And under data, we will know what is data and different forms that the data can exist and how do we measure the data. And also, we will try to understand structured data and unstructured data as well. So this is the agenda for the first session. This is basically for beginners who are new to Microsoft SQL Server. Okay. So let's get started and know what is data. Okay. So data, it can be defined like any raw facts of an entity is data. Data is like which is not meaningful until it is structured. Okay. And data and information, sometimes the words can be interchangeable. So let's get to know what are the raw facts of an entity. So I will go through details in terms of knowing what are the raw facts of an entity. The raw facts of an entity can be anything like in terms of a particular person or a particular place or an animal or any objects. So we will try to know about more about raw facts and the entity. Let's get started with some. I shall pull my tablet. Okay, so today, like we will know what is data. Has I told like data is raw facts of an entity. So in this particular raw facts, like I'm telling, there are two things like what is an entity and what are the raw facts. So let's define in detail what is an entity. The entity can be anything like in terms of a particular person, about a particular person or a particular place or a particular animal or any object that exists. So entity is nothing but it's anything about a particular person, place, animal, or any object that exists is nothing but an entity. So what are the raw facts of the entity? Let's say, given an example, let's say I have a online store, online customer store. Okay. In this, I have the customer's details to be stored. Let's say I have the name of the customer, age of the customer, phone number, email address. Okay. You might have came across in many of the online stores, like where you visit, like they might be having some form to fill, like the name, age, phone number, email, and the address. Like they ask to enter so that they can deliver to the address as well, right? So this for this entity person, there are certain raw facts that which is either it could be some name, age, phone number, email, address, right? These are the facts, raw facts of a particular person, entity person. Okay. Similarly, let's see about a particular place. Let's say I have, for example, I have a weather forecasting. Let's say I have a weather forecast, like, or let's say I have a particular city. We, let's say I have the city and I have some uh, temperature of that particular city and humidity of that particular city. Okay. This city, temperature, humidity, the raw facts of a particular entity called place, right? Similarly, I have animal. Let's say I have, so for example, some, I have something related to animal preservation forecast. Okay. This gives the number of animals that the tigers exist in the forest. Let's say give the statistical information of a particular statics of a particular information about a particular animal. Let's say there is a tiger in a forest, and it has a gender, it has the age, and the number of species. Okay, all these are the raw facts. The tiger could be male and it could be 8 years, or some number of species can be 100, let's say. So it giving some information of a particular entity, animal, right? And similarly, that any objects, like given an example like of any of the objects like mobile store. Okay, so mobile store, when you visit a mobile store, you'll have the company name. So you have the model name, you have some specification which store in terms of the storage or RAM or etc., right? So all these facts of raw facts is the nothing but the entities. So you, now that it is important to understand like the what is data, like we know what are the raw facts of an entity. So first we try to know what is an entity, and later we draw what are the different raw facts of the entity. So let get into details of in terms of data. So now that we understand what is data, and here are the some of the corresponding data of this particular raw facts of the entities. Let's say let's say the customer name is John, and he's 35 years old, and he has purchased some 2 items, and these are the examples. Like these are the some of the customers data, and here is the place. Like here is, it is telling that there is some New York City, and this is 25 degrees, and this is 30% humidity. And similarly, like there are tigers, and there are certain information related to the forest. Similarly, the object, say object like the smartphone, like it has the Samsung, and it has some model, and it has some specifications and the cost. So describing about this particular thing. So these are the raw facts of the entities, like the of the person, of the place, and animal and object. That I just put this slide from the beginning. Okay, so now that you understand, like basically, like this is basically trying to explain the what is entity and the raw facts. Okay, now you understand what is entities and raw facts. Now I'm turning this data into meaningful information in the form of table. If I put that customer data into the retail store, I can show that the customer name is John, and his age is 35, and his purchase date, and whatever the information we have captured. Like, see, these are the raw facts of the entity person is now structured into information, right? Similarly, of the particular place, so of the city, like I'm saying that New York City, and the date is so and so. So I have given the temperatures and the humidity and the weather summary. And about these animals as well, like the tiger entity, like some information about the number of tigers that exist in a particular location in India, and the smartphone in the some store. Okay, so it has some brand, and it has some model. So this is the way that we identify the entities and the raw facts of the entities, and we project that information, that we turn that particular data into meaningful information. Okay, so now that we have to understand that the data can exist in different forms. So in different forms, like you have seen this customer name is this string, right? And this is age is nothing but the integer, and this is date time, and this is again integer. So similarly, like data can exist in different forms. That could be integer or numbers, or it could be numerics, or it can be image, audio, video file. So this is all the different forms that we see in the different of the data. Now let's see how we can measure this data. So measurement of data can be done through bits and bytes. Like bit is nothing but a single binary data, either it is 0 or 1. So 8 bits makes a 1 byte, and 1000 bytes make 1 kilobyte, and 1 kilobyte make 1 megabyte, and then later giga, tera, petra, and exabyte as well. So this is the way that we try to measure the data, like in terms of bits, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, and gigabytes. So this is the measurement of data that we generally measure the data. So as if now, as it said, like what is actually information is, like information is that anything we convert the meaningless data into the raw facts of the data into meaningful information in terms of proper structure, like in terms of the like simple in our DBMS we project that into a particular table. So you can see here as like there is a employee table, like you can see his employee number and employee name and job. Okay. Similarly, like we will have the employee grade, average, or forecast, with whatever we can project in the form of meaningful information in the table. That is nothing but the information. And here, like we have seen like what is data and what is information. And most of the in the real-time world, when we work in the real-time world, like there might be a chance, like there will be more explored when we then the companies will ask to unstructure the data of the unstructured data. Nothing but process the unstructured data to make it meaningful structured data. So they send some of the text files or CSCA files, comma separated values, and Excel files. Then they ask to make this meaningful. You can, and the technologies might be using like SSIS, SSRS, like Power BI, any of the .NET applications. They might be asking you to process the data. So basically, what I'm trying to say is like there are specific, like there will be more chances in there will be like um, situations like where we have to structure the data for the and from that comes from the text files, CSV files, or whichever the data of that form is. And you can use any of the technologies like SSIS, SSS, and SSIS, Power BI, or any .NET applications as well. So SSIS is nothing but the analysis services where we can analyze the data. Integration services is nothing but the where we extract the data, and reporting services is nothing but you will project the data in the meaningful reports. Okay. And Powered by BI is like projecting this data this into a graph or some meaningful, more decorative way of presenting the data, or in .NET applications. So basically we are using different technologies to structure the data as well. And like this is the basics about to let you know about there are certain technologies that where we can use to make the structured data to process the unstructured data. Okay. So let's go through some of the examples, like how do we structure the data of a particular unstructured data. Okay. Let me go through a simple example without using any tools or technologies. Like I will go to some of the simple examples of how to understand the basics of this structure and unstructured data. Let's see that one as well. So here is an example like where how do we collect this unstructured data, and how do we make the data points. So let's assume that you have a customer inbox support for a particular online shopping. Let's say we have a customer inbox, and we receive certain emails based on from the customers, and we analyze these particular emails and make proper data points and project that data points into a proper meaningful table information. Okay. Now let's see, this is the first email that I could see, like the subject is order issue of that particular order number, saying that it has not yet arrived and asking for the status. Okay. Again, you have the email 2, which specifies about the product in inquiry and is asking about the product name. And similarly, about the subject is about the complaint the product has received, and the order number is so and so. So in this particular, if you see the data points over here in the first email, he has mentioned the order number, but not about the product. Okay. In the second email, he has mentioned about the product inquiry of a particular product, but not the order number. Similarly, again, he has mentioned the order number, but not the product. So if you understand this particular data points, if you can see this, like first the email ID is the data points, and subject is another data point. The category which comes into like the order issue or the product inquiry or the complaint is nothing but the category and the order number and the product mentioned or not. So there is a process of identification of the relevant data points. So let's see how, if I break down this unstructured data into a structured data, let's see how it is. See, here is the structured email classification. So I'm giving it is as the email ID, okay, ID and subject, and I am giving the category and the order number and the product mentioned. Here email ID is nothing but not the this is the doesn't exist in the real world. It just to identify a particular row. So whenever I wanted to know what the orders related to particular email IDs, then I can read this particular row easily, right? So this is nothing but to identify a particular row. So see, now that you can see the structured email classification is more understandable. Like in terms of it has the email ID and subject, category, order number, and the product mentioned. See, now that the relevant unstructured data, which is projected in the emails, then we identified the data points and we projected in the proper table. So this is the way we will come across in the real world scenarios while working in the IT and your project. So this is to one of the way that we need to have a clear picture about what is unstructured data, how to identify the relevant data points, and how do we structure the data. And we'll also look another example, like let's say I have a social media sentiment analysis, like I collect the total tweets that's about a particular products on the social media. So let's see, I have a tweet, 3 tweets here, like there is a positive here, loving the new feature of product ABC. Here in the first tweet, he is some good comments about the product. He mentioned about the product ABC. The second tweet is not happy with the battery life of the product ABC. And the product he mentioned that is okay. So here, if you can understand the data points over here, I could see the tweet ID and the sentiment, whether it could be positive, negative, or neutral. He mentioned the product as well, and he also mentioned the hashtags. Okay. Now let's see how the structured data looks like when it after collecting the data points of the unstructured data. See here, tweet ID, the sentiment about this particular, whether it is positive, negative, or neutral, and the product mentioned. Yes, it is mentioned ABC and hashtags. Okay, here is the way where we structure the unstructured data. So that's it. So let me recap the whole session. Like today we have seen what is data, and in the very important thing is about the data, we have identified like the what is raw facts of the entities and what are different entity objects we have. And we also seen the information, and also we have gone through some of the examples of the data analysis on how do we structure the data for unstructured data. And from the next section, like would be about what our databases actually are, what are the earlier databases and history and flat file system disadvantages, and we'll also go to the ACID properties and RDBMS databases fundamentals as well. So thanks for watching. Let's catch up in the next session for SQL Server. Thank you.